Hello everybody and welcome to Gene's Reviews from a regular dude, where I do trailer reactions, I react to YouTube videos, I review YouTube channels, and occasionally I'll review a movie. Basically, I just do whatever the hell I want. Well, hello. Today we're going to do one from a channel I really like called Scary Mysteries. And this is 5 strange mysteries that will freak you out. Let's see if we can get freaked. Get our freak on. What did I do with the remote? Where is it? There it is. Found it. Here we go right now.
Five strange mysteries that will freak you out. Strange stories surround us everywhere, but some of them simply stand out over the rest. Cases on this list take the word strange to a whole new level. These are the 5 strange mysteries that will freak you out. Number 5. Cassy and Carolyn Worthy. It was 12:43 a.m. on October 16, 1989, when firefighters rushed to the Worthy home in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It was a rented home located about a mile from Interstate 59, just off Alabama Highway 216. When they managed to control the fire, investigators entered the house to find both Caroline and Cassy Worthy inside. The couple had been shot dead. At 55 years old, Carolyn was working as a choir director in the Baptist church. Meanwhile, 68-year-old Cassy was a World War II vet and was working as an officer at the Bessemer Veterans of Foreign Wars. The couple were wealthy, and in fact, during their death, they were just living in the rental home while their 10,000 square foot permanent residence was being built. On the night of the murder, they had headed home after church. Police believe as soon as they pulled into their driveway, they were shot. Afterwards, their bodies were dragged inside and the property set on fire. The killer had taken jewelry, along with some cash, but other valuable items were left untouched. A month after the murders were publicized, investigators received a phone call from officers in Florida. They said they had a similar case that occurred in January, just 9 months prior. The victims were also an older couple, 72-year-old Robert McRae Sr. and his wife, 70-year-old Catherine. They were found dead inside their home on January 29th.
Both really
Their
rich
death
people.
was discovered when 2 neighborhood children dropped by the home but found 2 ski masks in the backyard. The children got scared and told a neighbor. Police were called, and inside is where they found the couple dead. Like the Worthys, the McRaes had been shot in the head execution style. Curiously, Mrs. McRae was placed in a pair of thumb cuffs. The killer took Robert's wallet and also left with a diamond ring of Catherine's. Despite this, police believe the robbery wasn't the...
Okay, so what do you think? Home invasion? But, I mean, they're both killed the same type of way and they're in different places? Or do you think it's a mob hit? Who knows?
But instead, the murders were. Aside from similarities in just the victims' profiles, both cases were connected when police discovered the killers used a 124 grain 9mm Israeli TZZ cartridge. It's a Uzi type of weapon not commonly used by burglars. Since the 2 cases were now linked, various agencies, including the FBI, have since investigated them. They believe that these weren't contract killings and more than one person committed the crimes. They say the murders were planned meticulously, though, and involved the killers stalking their victims. At least one report received by police noted a man was spotted watching the Worthy home using a scope at least 4 months prior to them being killed. Today, both the cases still remain open. Number 4. Cassy Federer.
Okay, I don't know on that one. They said that they didn't think it was a contract killing or anything like that, but the same people killed both couples. And they planned it meticulously, like he said, so, well, that is strange. That they've never found out who it is or anything like that. I wonder if the people that did it knew the people that they killed.
On September 13, 1999, 19-year-old Louisiana State University psychology student Cassy Federer had just finished class and returned to her Park Place apartment around 3:30 p.m. She locked and bolted her door after she went inside, but moments later, someone kicked in that front door, chased her around the apartment, shot, and killed her. A bullet went straight through her lungs and then her head. When she died, she still had her phone in her hands. An hour later, her body was discovered by the building manager. Police arrived and they found her dog shut inside the bedroom. They combed the scene and couldn't find anything amiss except for 2 bullet holes and a missing backpack. Later, they found a glove which didn't belong to Cassy or her roommate. They speculated that the glove belonged to the killer and tested it for DNA evidence. They did manage to obtain a sample, but when it was run through the database, it didn't match any known people at the time. So for years, Cassy's case went cold. Her family was devastated, and there seemed to be no leads to follow. For 19 years, the case sat on the desks of detectives waiting to be solved. Within that time, detectives tried running the DNA through several databases, but no results ever came up. But when they tried again in 2018, they finally got a hit. The DNA in the glove found in the apartment was matched to a man accused of multiple rapes and murders, 49-year-old Travis Green. Green was already on death row in Livingston, Texas, for raping and murdering another 19-year-old girl from Houston, Texas, just 11 days before killing Cassy. In 1988, Green was also named a perpetrator in the killing of 82-year-old Margaret McGinnis from West Houston. She was sexually assaulted and strangled to death.
Wow.
Since Green was already serving death row, though, Baton Rouge police said they wouldn't step in to bring Green to Baton Rouge for trial. But they will be stepping in and bringing the case against him if he is released, pardoned, or his death sentence is overturned for any reason. Number 3. Henryville, Indiana.
What a sick bastard, man.
On April 28, 1974, 8-year-old Richard Sweeney left his home on Pixley Knob Road in Henryville, Indiana to go play. But when the young boy failed to return that evening, his parents called police and reported him missing. At around 6 p.m., police officer John Boer then found the boy's body. Sweeney was discovered fully clothed at the Blue Lick auction barn, which wasn't exactly a traditional farm building, but more like a giant yard sale or pawn store according to locals. Richard was on the second floor, buried underneath stacks of boxes and old clothing. The barn was located just a short way from his home. It was discovered he had been sexually assaulted. He was strangled, then gagged and asphyxiated. His hands were tied behind his back, but the type of binding was never released. It's believed he died from choking on his own vomit because his mouth gag was too tight. The young boy's killing has never been solved. However, he wouldn't be the only mystery death in that town. Several years later, on June 9, 1977, 15-year-old Jeffrey Burkett was last seen entering a black pickup truck around Blue Lick Road. Jeffrey was small and thin for his age. He stood at 5 foot 1 inches tall and weighed just over 100 pounds. When he didn't return home that evening, his brother contacted police the next morning and reported him missing. By 3:45 that afternoon, authorities said his body was found. According to them, the teenager was discovered about 30 yards off the road inside Clark State Forest. He was face down, fully clothed, and with his hands arched over his head and wrists bound with wire. During the autopsy, it was determined he fought hard to get free and had many defensive wounds, but was heavily beaten and sexually assaulted. There were fractures on his skull, but his primary cause of death was strangulation.
And people like this that do this
Another
kind of
death
shit,
and
they're allowed
disappearance
to
would
live.
occur
I
before the
can't
year
get
ended in
over
that
it.
area. On September 27, 1977, 19-year-old Donald Abel had just finished his morning class at around 11 a.m. He told a friend he was walking into town that day, headed out the door, and was never seen again. For 2 weeks, no one knows what happened to the teen, but on October 9th, a group of walnut hunters stumbled across his body at the bottom of a 27-foot ravine. He was found fully clothed and had been beaten to death. He had a fracture on his skull, which was inconsistent with the fall. Unlike the other 2 prior victims, there were no signs of sexual assault on the body or any sign of strangulation either. Although it wasn't mentioned in the official reports, local rumors said that Donald's hands were also bound behind his back when he was found. For years, the three murders haunted the small town. Although many believe a single killer stalked the area, police eventually believed that there were three separate killers involved, one for each victim. For Richard Sweeney's parents, they think they have a good idea on who the killer
Now
could
there's
be.
a face only a
At one
mother
point,
could
Mrs.
love.
Sweeney even confronted their suspect, and the person ran and hid, leading them to further believe in his guilt. The identity of the Sweeney's person of interest has been kept hidden since he hasn't officially been charged or linked in the investigation. There have been several attempts at solving the murders, and 2 reinvestigations occurred in 1983 and again in 1999, but even today, the cases remain unsolved. Number 2. Bony torso.
In cases like that, the punishment should fit the crime. I hope every single one of them gets sexually assaulted every single night that they're in prison. They're scumbags. They're no good. I wonder why God lets stuff like that happen. It really does make me wonder.
Killing. It was October 11th, 1991. And for
I know we all have
62-year-old
free
Colin
will
Oliver
and
was an
everything,
ordinary
but
walk
man.
home. As he was heading down Broxfield Lane in Bolney, southern England, he stopped and opened a gate that led to a field. He went to the wooded area to urinate, and it was then he found a piece of carpet hidden in the undergrowth. Inside that carpet was a bloody torso. Oliver walked straight to the Burgess Hill police station and told them what he had found. Police described the victim as a white male with a protruding belly. He was approximately 60 years old during the time of death. Both the victim's head and hands were cut off to impede identification, and those have never been found. The arms have been cut off in different lengths.
Wow.
One arm was chopped
sturdy.
6 inches below the elbow, while the other was cut 2 inches below the elbow. It was cut this way because one arm seemed to have an identifying tattoo. Police think the killer used an axe or bolt cutter to chop up the body. The victim had a small star-shaped mole on his right thigh and was wearing turned-up trousers along with a blue shirt with a distinctive pocket motif. Police found a possible suspect in December of 1991 when a local real estate agent spoke with them and said there was a rented house on Copyhold Lane, 1.5 miles from where the body was discovered. That rented home had been abandoned for no reason.
They're cutting up a body like it's a cow or something, like it's a piece of livestock. I wonder if they even think of that as a human being. You know?
Raising the suspicion of the agent. When police went to the property, they found a Penthouse magazine with an article talking about dismembering bodies. There were also numbers scrawled all over the pages. The people who rented the home were Joseph Nepper and Cornelia Tussel from Dresden, Germany. The two rented it in September of 91 and paid for 6 months in advance. But on October 9th, they abruptly left 2 days before the body was discovered. Joseph apparently was being sought in Germany for business fraud and had been using the pseudonym Dr. Matthias Hermann. The following year, Joseph was caught in Spain and he admitted to intending to start a fraud operation, but he said he had no clue about the dead body. By August of 92, police had to release him because there was no evidence linking him to the murder. So without movement in the case, the torso was buried on August 2nd of 1994. After a short service, the victim was placed to rest at Western Road Cemetery in Haywoods Heath. In 2011, a review of the case was done to see if technological advances could help identify the victim. This investigation revealed the age of him to actually be around 30 to 40 years old instead, and it's believed he had been living in the UK for a year and had come from southern Germany or other countries around that area. Police also believe he was dressed in shirt and trousers that didn't belong to him. The victim was said to be strong and healthy, and today, the case still remains unsolved. Number 1. Matt Flores. A former military officer, 26-year-old Matt Flores, had just moved to Silicon Valley, California to start a new job at Applied Materials Incorporated.
Not
Together with his
Microsoft or
wife
Apple
of
or
4
wherever.
years and their daughter, the family was getting ready to start a
Silicon
new
Valley,
chapter
isn't
in
that
their
where all the
life.
computer
March
companies
24,
start out?
1994, at 8:14 a.m., Flores drove into the office parking lot to start his 9th day at work. Another Applied Materials employee, a woman, was sitting in her car listening to a radio program when she suddenly heard a popping sound. As she turned, she saw a man slumped to the ground. According to her testimony, she rushed over to him immediately. When she got there, he was kneeling on the ground with his head and shoulders on the open car door. He was lifeless, and blood was rushing from his open wounds. The woman was hysterical and rushed to the other employees to call 911. Gary Robertson, another employee, then went out to see what the commotion was. Once he got to the parking lot, he saw the man slumped over with the woman. It was then he realized who it was, Matt Flores, who was the man he had just hired. Police arrived within 4 minutes, and they found that Matt was shot at point-blank range in the back of his head.
Never even
There
saw
were no
it
shell
coming.
casings, signs of a struggle, or a murder weapon. While surveillance was in the parking lot, it didn't catch Matt's murderer since he was parked in a blind spot. Police did point out in the surveillance video that a suspicious black Ford Explorer was circling in the lot, exiting 20 seconds after the murder happened. But the video was so grainy, police couldn't obtain a license plate. Authorities tried to secure any leads they could get, interviewing over 1,000 people and fellow employees and others who knew Matt in 4 states. However, they still came up empty. There are several theories as to who might have killed Matt. One is that someone was targeting Applied Materials employees, since another worker had been stabbed and killed there just a year before. Although police officially determined that there was no connection between the 2 deaths,
That doesn't make much
it still
sense.
makes it unusual that 2 employees from the same company would die in such a brutal
Yeah.
way. Another theory is that his murder had something to do with his military background. While serving in 1993, another man, Sergeant Nicholas Gange, was under Matt's command. But shortly after, Gange disappeared from his post and was declared AWOL. This was 11 months prior to Matt's murder. However, shortly before Matt moved to California, Gange's body was discovered in the woods a mile from the Army barracks. Initial investigations thought Gange died of a hit and run, and it was revealed he had fractures on the ribs, sternum, and vertebrae. Another investigation also revealed there was a fracture on his skull. Oddly enough, after Matt Flores' death, the Army said they lost his official military records. The Army National
Convenient.
Personal Records Center in St. Louis said they could not find the file and don't know if it had been removed or destroyed. Today, despite the $100,000 reward, no one knows what really happened to Matt or why he was killed. Above all, still no one knows whether he was killed professionally or not.
Sounds like it.
So there were 5 strange mysteries that
Well, that's from the channel Scary Mysteries. You know, it's really crazy how you can be here 1 second, gone the next. That guy, I'll bet you he never even knew what hit him. Not at all. Just a split second, bam, and he's gone. It's crazy to me. I don't know, but how about a joke? Why do cows have hooves instead of feet? Because they lactose. Thank you, everybody. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hashtag Mean Gene, all that fun stuff. And I will see you next time.